Welcome to Gamescom.
Fantastic. New trailers all access.
Where does Star Wars: The Old Republic fall in the lore? Well, it's if you're familiar with our previous game, Knights of the Old Republic, that was a while ago on Xbox. It's several hundred years later, so the events that transpired in Knights of the Republic are still very much present, and some of the characters are mentioned, and a lot of the fate of some of those characters will be explained. But for people that are more familiar with the movies, of course, this is several thousands of years before any of the movies took place. Do we have people like Yoda in the game? We have members of the same species as Yoda, so you may look familiar, but not quite. And actually, we had the same thing in Knights of the Old Republic. It's an interesting thing in Star Wars. They're very rare, and so there's a lot of control of when they can appear in the lore and when they cannot. And so we're very happy to be able to feature such members. This receipt.
You will decide the fate of the Jedi.
There was a difficulty of building the Old Republic, and what we wanted to do with what we were able to do. Well, the main difficulty was trying to marry things that have never been married before. A very strong personal story, which focus on the player really, and a massively multiplayer game that focus on grouping and social aspect all together, playing nicely. And it's a constant struggle because one want to draw you toward your personal characters, the other one want to draw you toward your friends playing with you and so on. So but fortunately, I think, but the player will tell us really, we've been able to do this. That was the main challenge, and the other challenge is that it's a massive undertaking. I mean, you're talking about making a whole universe where players are going to live for hundreds of hours for many years, hopefully. And that's not easy. There are challenges that are unique to this kind of games. For example, we have to balance the economy. We cannot let this economy have inflation in it, because then people, their money would be worthless. So we cannot let this economy accumulate items forever. Like you buy an item and then stay with you, stay in the world forever, and we have to deal with that. So there are unique challenges that are typical to massively multiplayer games, but we had to tackle them, and that's a massive undertaking again. What we've been showing in the press conference and here live in Gamescom was a 8-player cooperative operation, which is all take on raids, so very high level, maximum levels kind of missions that players take on together. What we've shown a little bit is the Eternity Vault, which can be played with 8 players or 16 players. Can be played in several difficulty levels. What you've seen probably was not the most difficult because it was live and it was under pressure, and we are not that good. Some of us are not that good, me included. Anyway, so that's what you were seeing, and you've been seeing just the very beginning. And the story behind it is pretty interesting, I think. It's on a planet prison, and part of this planet is actually this complex, this prison that has been sealed 20,000 years ago, built by an alien race to imprison the most dangerous people of their time. And unfortunately for the player, that prison defense system has been damaged during the war between the Republic and the Empire. So now both sides are afraid that whatever is inside is going to break free and bring back all those cataclysms and all the reasons they were put here in the first place. So either side can take this challenge on, and here what we saw was 8 Empire players rushing to the planet's surface to first breach the prison's defense and then go inside and deal with the threat inside. What is the experience for a new player? And when you start the game for the first time, the first choice we have to make is which side do you want to serve? Do you want to serve the Republic, which is typically seen as a force of good, but of course, like a lot of republics tend to be corrupt and have its own internal problems? Or do you want to serve the Empire, which typically is described as evil, but they are definitely a more militaristic, aggressive society. But like in every place, there are good people living in bad society. So that's the first choice. And once you make this choice, you will have access to 4 different classes. On one hand, you will be able to play anything from a trooper, which is a very interesting thing. We see a lot of stormtroopers and soldiers in the movies and the comic books, but and the animated cartoons, but we never really see their side of the story. A bit more now, but not in detail. So now it's a chance to be part of the Republic military and see what it feels like. You can play a smuggler, which is allied with the Republic, but is a smuggler. He breaks the law all the time. He's a very interesting character, very like Han Solo. You know, not really a good person, but and he can be a ladies' man, or the opposite if you create a female character. So a very different play. Or you could be a Jedi. We have two different flavor, if you want, of Jedi, because we thought there was really two big stories we wanted to tell and two different playstyles we thought could be associated with a Jedi. One is the typical Jedi Knights, when you think of Luke, for example. So Luke doesn't know much about the Force except beating on people with lightsabers and doing a few tricks, but that's pretty much it. And so the Jedi Knight is a very military, straightforward person dealing with straightforward dangers. And the Consular, the Jedi Consular, is more of the Yoda kind of person that try to have a deep understanding of the Force and do amazing things with that. And so his story is more about knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge and power. Now, if you go to the Empire side, you have similar kind of choice that reflect each other's. You could be a Sith warrior, which is very similar to a knight in terms of using the Force just as an extension of his strength. A Sith Inquisitor that is using the dark side of the Force for his, his thirst for power. A bounty hunter that is there for the money, a bit like the smuggler is there for the money. And of course, an agent, which is also part of the military of the empires. He's more of a spy, and he sees all the dirty underside, the dirty politic of the empire. It's a very interesting class to play. Now, another part of character creation is what race can you play, and because we have crafted such an interesting, intricate stories, unfortunately not every race would play well into that story. For example, we know that everybody wants to play as a Wookiee. It's a fact. But Wookiee don't really speak Basic, which basically is English for all intent and purpose here, or German or French in this language. Basic, what everybody speaks. So, we thought about it, and having this Wookiee sound for like 150 or 200 hours, that wouldn't work. And we would have to essentially, to do a good job, we would have to write a story that is Wookiee specific, right? We could have done that, but after looking at everything, we realized that was a lot of work for something else. And maybe one day, who knows, but we couldn't just do it cheaply saying, you're a Jedi Knight, you happen to be a Wookiee, nobody understood you, it just look weird, and the story doesn't work. That's not, we could do it well, or we could do it quick, and if we ever do it, we'll do it well. So our race tend to be closer to human, but we still have some interesting looking people. The Twi'leks, if you're not familiar, you have these huge tentacles in the back, so interesting looking. With the Sith pureblood, which is an interesting race, which are, we talk about the Sith and the Sith Empire. It's actually people mixed with an alien race called the Sith, and these are this alien race. They have kind of tentacle on their face, and they're red, and they have strong, bone ridge in their head. So you've got a certain choice, but for story reason, they are closer to a human, so you can identify with them and the story can work with. Doesn't mean it's final in the sense we want a game that lasts a very long time, and the beauty of MMO is you can always add to them, but if we ever do something, we want to do it right. So we have been receiving a lot of questions about the beta. Right now you can go on our website, www.swotor.com, that's SWTOR, and you can apply for it. Just register and apply for it, and you will be selected if you match your criteria. But we will have a big influx of players in this beta weekend we've been talking about. So it's a great time now to get on our website and sign up if you want to try the game, and help us, get it in a good shape to launch, which is really the point of those betas. Now the game is tracking really, really well to release on target for our holiday of this year, or the 2011.